And blessed to be part of your day. Don't forget, coming up Tuesday, our State of the Union watch party. Dave and Buster is going to be an awesome time. We've already had folks, RSVPing. You can do that now at 208-901-3800, 208-901-3800. If you want to meet Terry from State College, Pennsylvania, Max from Garden City, or others, Jim from Middleton, this is a homecoming for us. We used to do this all the time with the debate watch parties, and maybe we'll do that now that the Dems, the Libs will be doing that coming up soon. But at least we'll do this for the State of the Union. Looking forward to seeing everybody there. Joining us now is the author of Jesus and Company, Connecting the Lessons of the Gospel with Today's Business World, Dr. Bruce Hartman from North Carolina. Where in North Carolina, sir?
Asheville, Kevin.
Asheville, beautiful Asheville, North Carolina. The Biltmore Estates, and just a wonderful place if people get a chance to go east of the Great River. So we'll start off with this question here, sir, on KIDO Talk Radio, Dr. Hartman. What is the spiritual state? What is the religious, moral state of America?
Well, it's certainly not as strong as it was a few decades ago, or even a decade ago. Churches in overall, since 1967, have had a chronic decline of between 1% and 3%. And this new generation, which let's just say the age group from 18 to say 25, is 4 times more likely not to attend church than previous generations. And I think that this is a canary in the woodpile, a canary in the mine.
We see more young people piecing out of religion. What are they replacing it with? Secular humanism or just the love of video games?
I don't think it's either of those. I've been speaking a lot with young folks, and when I did my thesis, I did a piece of this study on this issue. The compelling force of God, I believe, exists in them as much as it did in previous generations. What they're really reacting poorly to is a number of things. One is they don't feel connected to the church. One of the mistakes that churches make is they send high school students off to their own room instead of letting them participate in service. And they don't always identify with their high school mentors in the church. And so as they change, and this is the biggest risk to anybody's faith life, is when you change location. So as they go to church, or they go to the military, or they move out of the house, that's a change in their routine. So if they don't have a strong connection or a great feeling towards the church, the institutional church, they're going to be much less likely to attend than previous generations.
Well, why do people leave the church to begin with? I mean, as a Catholic, everybody, I always hate this when they go, well, I'm a former Catholic, or I was raised Catholic. And I'm like, is this something to be proud of?
Well, that's a really great question, and it has many answers to it. That's why it's been so difficult for the church to resolve it. The biggest thing is disagreement with church polity and involvement in politics. Most people want to go to church for 2 reasons: to praise God and to help their neighbor. And one of the things on help the neighbor that a lot of churches have gotten away from is the community needs, or soup kitchens, or reading programs, or after school programs for kids. People really love to help other people and make their lives better. And if the church it doesn't take a position on that, they're going to lose people from a point of interest. So that's number one. The second thing, interestingly enough, it's logistics. You have a lot more dual income families than you had in previous years. So the church maintains a position the church is to be held somewhere between 9 and 11 on Sunday. And unfortunately, this may be the time when they have to get food for the week, or it may be the time when the family has to fix something in the home, or even worse, they have to take their kids to a soccer game. And it used to be Sundays, just a few decades ago, it used to be that Sundays weren't for athletics. They weren't for these other activities, and usually because you had one spouse staying at home. So there's a lot of time pressure, logistics pressure on families as well to get as much done in a week as they possibly can. So I would say those are the 2 biggest reasons, but there's a number of others, but those are probably the 2 biggest.
Well, when we take a look at just the way the media portrays people of faith, Christians, that's something that's tough to overcome as well, where the media glorifies people that cheat on their spouses. Religious folks
Right.
are always, portrayed as being flawed, hypocritical. How does that impact the kids of today?
Well, it certainly doesn't paint a good light, and as we know, the media isn't always fair in their portrayal of institutions, particularly Christian institutions. And Christians have kind of become a go-to headline when something strange happens. Like, for instance, recently Mike Pence's wife took a job at a private school in D.C. teaching kids. And the school will not accept children if the parents believe in abortion, which I believe is their right because it's a private school. But it made headlines. And all Mrs. Pence is trying to do is just teach kids and work in a Christian school and live out her faith and belief. So I think that these are the types of things that also polarize our youth.
Dr. Hartman, if people want more information on this situation or on your book, what can they do?
Obviously, you can go to my website, which is www.brucelhartman.com. The book is available on Amazon. In fact, you can download it. It's an ebook as well. And I do issue a blog. And as a matter of fact, yesterday I issued a blog on the subject that you're talking about today. And if they want to sign up for my email list, they can do it right there on my website.
Dr. Hartman, Jesus and Company, connecting the lessons of the gospel with today's business world. Is it possible to really follow the gospel and survive in today's business climate where people lie, cheat, and steal, sir?
Yes, it is. It is possible. And not only is it possible, it's practical. In this regard, if you want to have a sustainable career and one that you can thrive in, you don't want to be recognized as being a cheat or stealing or any type of subterfuge that you can occur. The people that get hired for three reasons. Number one, because they're positive people. Number two, because they're trustworthy. And so when employers are hiring people, if they have an indication that an individual is trustworthy, they have a big advantage over other potential employees. So trustworthy and being positive, those are Christian values. Now, I'm not proposing that everybody goes to work and gets up on the lunchroom table and declares that they must believe or be doomed. I really believe that if to be a Christian, you have to be the gospel, not say the gospel, but be the gospel. And that's probably a best evangelism technique, is by our own standards and the way we live is probably the best form of evangelism we can do. But also, you want your employer to trust you. And if you follow things like the Golden Rule or some of the issues that Jesus brings up about fair play and dealing, your employer will trust you. He may not like you all the time. He or she may not like you all the time, but they know one thing: they can count on you. So I think that not bringing Jesus to work actually hampers an individual's career and reduces their ability to earn money.
Dr. Hartman, what do you think the Lord would think of today's world? He had his challenges back in the day, but I mean, this is before the onslaught of smut that hits us day in and day out.
I think the first thing I think that Jesus would first tell everybody to do more critical thinking and stop hitting the pre-recorded narrative buttons. I think we've become such a polarized nation that it's not a civil war, but it smells like a civil war. And actually, many things that all of us humans want are things that we're not able to get because our world and our country today is so polarized. Liberals print stuff that's not accurate about conservatives, and sometimes conservatives aren't as tolerant as they should be. And I think if we all thought more critically about issues and not just just listen to what we listen to on the TV set or read in the newspapers. That would be the first thing I think Jesus would ask us all to do, is just to think harder and love our neighbor.
Dr. Hartman, Jesus and Company, available on Amazon. We appreciate your insight. Thank you for joining us today.
Thank you, Kevin. Have a good day.
You too. All right, Dr. Bruce Hartman joining us. Kevin Miller in the morning at KIDO Talk Radio. So we had some goodness. Now we have the other side of the spectrum, a Virginia law proposing that would allow women abortions after 40 weeks. Let's take a listen.
Yeah,
How late in the third trimester could a physician perform an abortion if he indicated it would impair the mental health of the woman?
So, through the third trimester. The third trimester goes all the way up to 40 weeks.
Okay, but to the end of the third trimester?
Yep, I don't think we have a limit in the bill.
Where it's obvious that a woman is about to give birth. She has physical signs that she is about to give a birth. Would that still be a point at which she could request an abortion if she was so certified? She's dilating.
Mr.
God bless the chairman for putting this misguided woman on the spot.
Chairman, that would be a decision that the doctor, the physician, and the woman would make.
I understand that. I'm asking
point.
if your bill allows that.
My bill would allow that, yes.
All the way up to birth. Kevin Miller here at KIDO Talk Radio. Phone numbers 580-5436, 580-KIDO. When you think of this is not New York. This is Virginia. At one time, one of the most conservative states in our union. And quite frankly, this is where we differentiate ourselves from everybody else. What type of evil lurks in her heart? What type of evil lurks in the heart of folks that would even do that? We're not talking about Nazi Germany. We're talking about today. That's what we're fighting. That's what we're facing. That's what I'd like to hear from you about. We're breaking the cardinal rule of talk radio today in these contentious, notorious, infamous times, controversial times, is we are embracing the controversy. We are saying this is wrong. Now in Idaho, we have Representative Scott, Representative Green saying, hey man, you commit abortion in Idaho, it's murder. It's the other side of the spectrum. But this is the topic we will take on until Glenn Beck. And my thoughts are this has to be stopped. This has to be stopped. Kevin Miller, 107.5 FM, 580 AM, KIDO Talk Radio. And coming up, we'll have the comments of the Virginia governor that says it's fine to kill a child after they're born. No hype, no hyperbole, just the truth. With Kevin Miller on 107.5 FM, 580 AM. Let's go to the phones. We go to Aaron in Boise with Kevin Miller on KIDO Talk Radio. Good morning.
Good morning.
Hello, Aaron.
Hi. This just kills me. Literally, I don't even understand. I just know so many people that want babies so badly and can't go to extreme measures to have babies. And then at what point do we call it murder? If a pregnant woman is driving down the road and gets hit and it's fatal for her and the baby, the person that hit them gets 2 counts of murder charges against them. So why is this even legal? How can we justify that if, the car crash kills the two mother and baby but it's legal to do abortion? It doesn't make sense. It contradicts itself.
It does. What would you say to those folks that think it's a woman's right to choose and expanding the abortion rights, expanding the death, if you will?
I think it's murder, period. End of story. It's murder. It's a child's life. I guess maybe I'm passionate and I have a hard time getting the right words out, but I feel it's murder, and especially at 40 weeks at dilation, that baby is ready to be born. That's just unacceptable. I understand women want the right to choose, but they're committing murder. The doctor's murdering that baby.
Aaron, God bless. Thank you for the call.
Thank you. Bye.
Bye-bye. Taking your calls and coming up, the Virginia governor saying that it would be the child would be comforted and if there's a deformity and all sorts of mess. This is what we've been arguing about for many years. It's the cultural war. They are seeking to take away life in this country. Brian in Nampa with Kevin Miller on KIDO Talk Radio. Good morning, Brian.
Hey, Kevin. I'll try to tie this all in together. I don't think we've lost religion. I think everybody's religion has changed. If you go to work and somebody accuses you of not caring for the climate because you don't believe in climate change, they call you a climate denier. Isn't that what early Christians used to call people that didn't believe in Christ? If you don't believe in women's choice, then you're, whatever word they want to use, and they preach it like religion. So I was told this way. What do you do in your spare time? That's your religion. If you, on your spare time when you're not working, go and play sports all the time, but you don't have time to go to church, that's your religion. If you work so much that that's all you're doing, that's your religion. If all you do is politics, that's your religion. God said multiple times, false gods, false prophets, false ideas. That's what he's talking about. So I guess it comes down to each of us sitting down. I know I have to do this on a daily and weekly basis and check myself and say, okay, am I following Christ or do I have some other religion? What did he teach and am I listening to it? Does that make sense?
It does. Those are our false gods. Brian, thank you for the call. God bless. Representative Christy Zitto joining us now on KIDO Talk Radio. Good morning.
Good morning, Kevin. How are you?
I wish it were under better circumstances. Of course, you were the one that first brought it to our attention on this show about what was going on in New York, and your passionate defense of life is still resonating in our ears. Your thoughts on what's going on in Virginia?
Kevin, I think it's just sad. I cannot think of a sadder commentary on the state of our country's moral compass and moral fiber than to think that at the moment of birth, the life of a child can be taken away. When a child is born, even without sustenance, a viable birth that baby can exist, that human being can exist for probably even a number of days. So if that child is aborted, unless it's literally torn apart in the womb of the mother, or let's use a kind word, euthanized while it is still in the womb of the mother, what happens to that child? What are they going to do with it? And Kevin, it is a life. It is a precious, precious thing. And I so admire Representative Scott and Representative Green for bringing forth the legislation that they are. If it doesn't pass, if it doesn't get a hearing, at least it has declared that there are those in the state of Idaho who still believe in life, who still believe in the moral fiber of a society to respect even the smallest of our unborn citizens. It's like a previous caller said that I heard. I haven't been able to listen all morning. I'm answering emails and phone calls all morning. But, in the state of Idaho, if you kill a pregnant woman, you can be charged, intentionally kill a pregnant woman, you can be charged with a double homicide. We need to be clear. We can't, and this morning I woke up thinking about this. So many times in law and so many times as legislators, I guess, because the responsibility falls on us and on our executive branch, we pick and choose what sin it's acceptable to commit. Now, in our state constitution, it says that as legislators, we will legislate temperance and morality. And I thought really hard about that this morning, and to the point that I even sat down and started to write a piece on this. We don't legislate temperance and morality. That is a personal thing. Only you can legislate your own temperance and morality. We legislate punishment for violation of temperance and morality. That's what your lawmakers do. But the control over your own personal choices and decisions are yours, no matter what the law says. And as a people, if we lose that respect for the most basic of human life, what's left?
Representative Zitto, thank you very much. And you're right. What is left? Thank you. God bless.
Thank you, Kevin. God bless you. God bless all of us.
God bless. Lord, we need your help today, now more than ever. Traffic and weather together, 107.5 FM.
Is Eric Everett.
Kevin Miller in the morning. Russell, Pete, Corey, Bill, and Tim, you're next. First, let's find out what's happening in your world. KIDO Talk Radio, 107.5 FM, 580 AM. Good morning, Maggie.
Good morning, Kevin.
Kevin Miller in the morning, continuing your talk, your voice on this issue in Virginia, killing children as they're born. And we are saying that possibly this, people get uncomfortable with that. There might be complaints. But this is where we differentiate ourselves and we stand up for what's right and we stand up for life. To the phones we go, and we have so many people that want to talk about this case in Virginia. By the way, before we get to John Decker, before we get to Russell, Pete, Corey, and Bill, unfortunately, the old Commodore 64 is not loading. The governor of Virginia made some statements where he was defending this action. If you're just tuning in, it shows you, if you're a parent, if you're a grandparent, where the world is going on this. We will have that for you in a minute. First, John Decker joins us live from the White House exclusively on KIDO Talk Radio. John, good to have you with us.
Hey, good to be here. Thanks a lot, Kevin. Thanks for having me on.
President Trump has some issues not only now with Governor Christie, with Cliff Sims, but his national security director on national intelligence concerning ISIS. What's the latest, sir?
Well, this happened earlier this week. The intelligence chiefs for a number of our intelligence agencies testified under oath, sworn testimony before Congress. So we're talking about Dan Coats, the director of national intelligence, and the director of the CIA, Gina Haspel, and the FBI director, Chris Wray, all testifying under oath. And they disagreed with the president concerning a number of hot spots around the world, some foreign policy challenges. Give you an example. As it relates to ISIS, they say ISIS has not been defeated. As it relates to Iran, they say Iran is complying with the Iran nuclear deal that the U.S. pulled out of. And as it relates to North Korea, they say that North Korea is still committed to holding on to its nuclear weapons. They are not committed to denuclearization, which the president says they are. So the president hitting back at his own security intelligence chiefs on Twitter, saying that they need to go back to school, and no pushback from the intelligence chiefs. They let their testimony stand on its own.
Have we really ever seen or heard anything like this? I know that sounds redundant, but the president was pretty specific yesterday in his disagreement with former Congressman Coats.
I've never seen anything like it. I've never seen a president at odds with his own intelligence chiefs in the manner in which this was very public the other day, and it's not just one; it's all three of them that I mentioned, and that's just very unusual. And you also have some Republicans being asked about this, Republican lawmakers, and they're siding with the intelligence chiefs. They're siding with Dan Coats and Gina Haspel and Chris Wray, not with the president on this, because these are the professionals. This is what they do for a living.
Any fallout expected of this? Probably the usual review and commentary from House Democrats and Senate Democrats?
Well, yeah, I would expect that because, of course, they can take advantage of what they just saw take place in the Senate, and they can have their own hearings take place concerning the same subject matter. They control the House of Representatives, and as a result, they're always looking for ways to sort of poke the president, poke the administration. This is certainly an area in which you see some daylight between the positions held by the president and those of his security chiefs, his intelligence chiefs.
John Decker joining us exclusively from the White House, Fox News Radio on KIDO Talk Radio. John, a final thought. Any Republicans backing up Director Coats?
Oh, you have a few of them. I can't name all of them because I'm not nearly up to speed on every member of Congress that's been asked about this, but I've seen quite a few national security Republicans, if you want to call them that, people that sort of specialize in this area, like Marco Rubio, who's taken the lead on this type of issue, like Lindsey Graham, who tend to give their weight to the people that are the professionals, the intelligence agencies, and so those are two names that come to mind. And I'm sure that over the course of the next week, maybe even on the Sunday shows, we'll see more Republican lawmakers being asked about this very issue.
John Decker, always on the scene. Thank you, sir. We appreciate you.
Thanks a lot, Kevin. Have a great day. I'll talk to you real soon.
You as well. Thank you, John. All right. No bye-bye from John Decker. Let's get to your phone calls. We go to Russell in Meridian with Kevin Miller, KIDO Talk Radio. Russell, thank you for your patience.
That's good. That's okay. Thank you, Kevin. Good show today. As far as why people are leaving the church, I believe that it's different from what your other speaker said. I believe it's because they want to maintain a vital, intimate relationship with the Lord Jesus Christ, and they want it to continue and ongoing rather than be a natural earthly thing that we have in the buildings and in the churches. They want the heavenly experience of being fundamentally transformed on the interior. What the other girl said was fantastic. Let him legislate what's going on inside of you. This is the gospel reality of experience. And I believe Americans are crying out for that experience. And I believe the election of Trump and what we see going in the spiritual warfare is the open door for all of us to begin to speak up who have had the goods. We have the goods. We have been fundamentally transformed inside over years and years. And I appreciate you being at the tip of the spear, letting us speak out like this, Kevin, because who knows what's going on in the spiritual realm when Jesus Christ is lifted up in the airways. Thank you, sir.
Thank you, Russell. And again, that's what we're talking about here. We're not going, hey, what do you think? This is about right and wrong. The governor of Virginia was on WTOP radio, where he was asked to defend this controversial proposed bill that would allow women to kill children after they were born.
For lifting restrictions on third trimester abortions, as well as other restrictions now in place. And she was pressed by a Republican delegate about whether her bill would permit an abortion, even as a woman is essentially dilating, ready to give birth. And she answered that it would permit an abortion at that stage of labor. Do you support her measure and explain her answer?
Yeah, and I wasn't there, Julie, and I certainly can't speak for Delegate Tran, but I would tell you first thing I would say, this is why decisions such as this should be made by providers, physicians, and the mothers and fathers that are involved. There are, when we talk about third trimester abortions, these are done with the consent of obviously the mother, with the consent of the physicians, more than one physician, by the way. And it's done in cases where there may be severe deformities, there may be a fetus that's non-viable. So in this particular example, if a mother is in labor, I can tell you exactly what would happen. The infant would be delivered. The infant would be kept comfortable. The infant would be resuscitated if that's what the mother and the family desired. And then a discussion would ensue between the physicians and the mother. So I think this was really blown out of proportion. But again, we want the government
you're hearing
not
again,
to be...
He's saying third trimester abortions are blown out of proportion. Remember when that was supposed to be rare and it never happened? By the way, Matt Schlapp, American Conservative Union. Thanks to abortion extremists in New York and the governor of Virginia, Justices Roberts, Gorsuch, and Kavanaugh were just given an even bigger reason to overturn Roe. No one can argue it will be illegal.
Involved in these types of decisions. We want the decision to be made by the mothers and their providers. And this is why, Julie, that legislators, most of whom are men, by the way, shouldn't be telling a woman what she should and shouldn't be doing with her body.
And do you think multiple physicians should have to weigh in?
So here we have it. If you're a man, you have no rights. Pete in Mountain Home with Kevin Miller on KIDO Talk Radio. Good morning, Pete.
Kevin, good morning. Great program. I have a double-barreled comment, one on the rule of law that David Leroy was discussing up in Washington with the sheriffs refusing to enforce the semi-automatic ban. I would like to point out that the state of Washington, the city of Seattle, and states of Oregon and California and many, many liberal cities have already established that the rule of law means nothing to them by legalizing marijuana against federal law and by establishing sanctuary states and sanctuary cities where they've said they will not enforce federal immigration law. So I see no reason why the sheriffs in the Washington can't say, well, you've got to set the precedent. We are not going to enforce your gun laws. The second comment on basically what I consider murder, the abortion as the baby is being delivered. We have a mass murderer that we've convicted of multiple counts of murder and sentenced to death and put in jail, and they get 30 years of appeals before they're killed. How many appeals does the baby get? 0?
That would be correct.
Yeah, and I don't believe that the babies are guilty of anything other than perhaps being, an inconvenience? It's just the incredible hypocrisy of the left as far as whether life is valuable or not. Multiple murderers' life is worth 30 years of appeals, and innocent baby's life is worth nothing.
God bless, Pete. Thank you.
Thank you, Kevin.
580-5436, 580-KIDO. Let's go to Corey in Nampa with Kevin Miller, KIDO Talk Radio. Good morning, Corey.
Well, good morning, Kevin. Mine's from a little different point of view. If you go to the state fair, they have a booth there, and it shows what stage the little baby is and how big it is. So from clearly a science point of view, it's a child from conception. It's not a giraffe. It's not a baby dog. It's a baby. And it's always was a baby. So the only difference now is they look at it and they go, well, it's all the way to the 40th month. It was always a baby. Go see, or go see little feet in jars and realize what an abortion is. And people would not, it would be shocking. There wouldn't be abortions. And it's not to abort a baby. You're killing the baby. It's not oops, we made a mistake, turn around. It's too late. That's all I wanted to say.
Well, we appreciate you. God bless, Corey.
All right, sweetie. Bye-bye.
Bye-bye. Bill in Meridian with Kevin Miller, KIDO Talk Radio, 107.5 FM, 580 AM. Good morning, Bill.
Hi, Kevin. I wanted to kind of change the subject a little bit, but I want to come back to this. The other day I called and told you about your dream, and I didn't get a chance to respond or listen to your response because the cars were driving behind me at work, and I couldn't hear you.
Yes, my dream about hanging out with Governor Otter.
Yeah, standing for the truth, even though politicians abandon you and your
my staff and everybody left me alone, and the libs were encircling me. Yes.
Exactly. I just wanted to let you. I didn't know if you had any comment on that, so I didn't get a chance to hear it because there were so many cars driving behind me out in the. I work out along the street. You know what I mean? So anyway, but I figured it was a pretty close to your dream anyway. So.
Hopefully it won't. It's not one of those self-fulfilling prophecies, but
yeah, I hear you. The other thing is, here we go. I adopted both my kids. And I ran into somebody the other day that said they have spent $40,000 to adopt a baby, all because Health and Welfare has their in-home studies. They've got these people they have to meet with. They have to charge all these different things for psychologists. Oh, we got to pay for this and pay for that. State fees for this, fees for that. And by the time they got done, they paid $40,000 to adopt a baby. They make it almost impossible, and you're talking about all these people who are coming in who are lawmakers, that want this abortion to stop or to slow down or whatever. We need to start talking about changing the adoption procedures so that it's easy. When we were younger, I mean, my son's 33 now, and I got him when he was 2.5 months. The mother called us and said, would you like to adopt this baby? And I said, sure. We went in front of a judge, and by the time we had it all done, it cost us less than $1,700. And, that's where it should be, a lot easier, and do away with all the home studies and the money that you have to spend and the fees that they're charging, $40,000. So they're discouraging adoption and encouraging death. And just get the lawmakers to change the adoption procedures, and you'd save thousands and thousands of lives.
No, you're right. And that's really what it comes down to. And God bless you for adopting. And Bill, I appreciate you caring about my dreams or nightmares. Take your pick.
Well, hang in there and keep preaching the truth, okay, brother?
Yes, sir. God bless, Bill.
Blessings back. See ya.
You know, and God bless the parents and step-parents. God bless you, the adopted parents. Your example of unconditional love is something that we should all follow. Kevin Miller, KIDO Talk Radio. We continue to stand up for what is right. Kevin Miller in the morning, KIDO Talk Radio. More of your phone calls. Let's go to Nancy in Nampa. Kevin Miller, KIDO Talk Radio. Good morning, Nancy.
Good morning. I appreciate all you do, Kevin. I just want to tell you a little bit about my life and abortion. When I was a young girl and I was going to Bora High School, in our health class, the teacher brought up abortion, and she was talking about it, and I was really, really shy. And even though I was shy, I raised my hand, and I talked about it, and I said, it's wrong because it's a baby, and you are murdering the baby. And I just remember I didn't get any support in class. Now, I also want to say that later on in life, I thought I was pregnant, and I wasn't married, and I was scared. I was really, really scared. And I had to tell my mom. And for a split second, I considered an abortion. So to all the young girls out there and to the women that are in this situation, I understand. But it's not the right thing to do. It is murdering a person. It is a baby, and that baby deserves to live. Also, after I educated myself a little bit more about pro-life stuff, I learned about a man by the name of Dr. Bernard Nathanson, who was a huge abortion doctor. He, if I'm saying this right, at one time did an image while the abortion was taking place, and he saw the baby actually open its mouth in a scream when it was being killed. And they named the movie The Silent Scream. I also feel very strongly that fathers should have a right in the decision it takes to make a baby.
Nancy, thank you for your honest comments, and God bless.
Oh, can I say one more thing?
Sure.
Okay. I also heard about this story. There was this couple in the delivery room, and the baby had just been delivered, and the baby was handed to the husband. And the husband became enraged because it wasn't the right sex. It was a boy instead of a girl, or vice versa. And the man threw the baby across the room, and the baby died. Now, I have to ask everybody, what is the difference? That man murdered that baby, and he was charged with murder. So what is the difference?
Great point, Nancy. Thank you. Traffic and weather together. 107.5 FM, 588.
107's Every Gabbard.
And more of your phone calls coming up. Let's go to Norm in Meridian. Norm, good morning. You're on KIDO Talk Radio.
Good morning, Kevin. How are you?
Sir.
Don't we all? You know, one of the things that I learned in the military, and the military could teach everybody a lot about life just in general and the way that they're perceiving it, but there's a purpose behind everything that we do. And one of the things that I was thinking about is, you know, when you're having sex, hopefully you got some iota of an idea that this can result in a pregnancy and maybe a baby, another life, you know, a part of you, a part of the other person. You know, and if all we're doing is we're justifying abortion because, well, you know, it felt good, but I didn't know there would be a consequence. What kind of morals are we teaching our youth? You know, I mean, if we're supposed to lead by example, and, you know, one of the things that Gandhi said is we have to be the change we wish to see in the world. We need to really start focusing the kind of morals that we're teaching our children, you know, in more practicality. And, you know, it's kind of like an analogy, you know, if you eat a lot of ice cream, you know, it feels really good and, you know, it's yummy. And you're going to be full. The opposite side of that is, if you eat too much of it, you're going to get a stomach ache, might have some intestinal issues. There's consequences to everything that we do, sometimes good and sometimes bad, or even both. But, we really need to kind of get back to more of a common sense approach to everything that we're doing. And if we're not teaching the responsibility and taking that to the next step and then talking about it in terms of legislation, Roe versus Wade was one of the worst things that ever happened to us, because it gave everybody the idea that, we're saving a woman's life, which, to a certain extent we are.
Right.
But
and
I
think, Norm, it comes down to, at one cost. Norm, thank you for the call. Tea Party Bob joins us now to bring us home. Good morning, sir.
Kevin, just quickly, I can't understand why this is not a national outrage and uprising on the New York abortion law. When we give our very legislators that we elect the ability to ignore the right to life of a full-term child, and can at the same time allow an execution of a convicted murderer to go unpunished, and this is a very threat to our very existence. When the legislators have the ability to say who can and cannot be killed, we've given them too much power. I have one thing I'd like to say. There is a meeting this afternoon at 3:00 at the Capitol in the West Wing Room 54 of the Welfare Committee on the mandate for the meningitis vaccine. So anybody who'd like to attend, please show up there before 3:00 so they can register.
Thank you, Tea Party Bob. God bless everyone.